But about what period of time were you noticing that the energy was shifting, and what was your reaction to that?
I noticed it after the men's deliberation. And so when you speak on asking, like, did I let Jason know that I liked him or where he stood, I reassured him where he stood with me after that because I sensed how that kind of was a little bit of a hit, I guess. And so I tried to provide reassurance, like, yeah, like, this is the process I am, having certain connections with them, but I'm telling you as well as I've told all the producers, as well as I've told the other men, you are still the main one that I'm focusing on. So like, let's just focus on that, and if we can focus on that, then everything else will just fizzle out. But we didn't do that, so.
Okay, so you felt like you had to reassure him. Can I ask that question? I wonder. You don't have to answer. You can sip your juice after this.
Okay.
Was that slightly a turn off if you have to keep assuring someone?
It was. It also became a turn off, and I said this to Jason because there were certain comments made like, "Hey, Kyra, if you don't make the decision, then you're leaving room for me and someone else to have a connection." And I'm like, I fully understand that, but I don't understand why you're continuously throwing it in my face. So it kind of made me say, okay, are you trying to bring this up to force me to make a decision? Because I'm scared of you, getting a connection with somebody else. No, if that connection ends up being better than our connection, nothing wrong with that. Go with who's the best fit for you, but you don't have to throw it in someone's face at the same time. So I didn't, like, we had conversations. And like I said, when I say the good things, I also did mention some of the things that rubbed me the wrong way that I didn't understand or really appreciate.
Okay. All right. So
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go for it.
I don't mind providing assurance. Like, people need to know, like, where they stand with you, especially in this type of process, and even just real world in general. Like, that's why you tell people all the time you love them. Like, and whatever someone's love language is, you show them love in that way. So I don't have a problem with showing love or affection in that way, but I don't like it being used as a tactic to in determining how you maneuver.
I get what you're saying.
There, but
I get what you're saying. So you're saying that in a sense, like, for instance, when he does say, "Oh, okay, wait," how are you interpreting? Maybe a better question for me to ask you is, how do you interpret when he makes a comment? Like, I think I know what you're talking about, but I want to see if you're saying that. How do you interpret when you hear something like, "Oh, you're gonna leave space for me to move on with someone else"? Then how does that sound to you, and what are you hearing when a man makes those kind of comments? Then,
if you say it to me repeatedly, then I want to take it as, I don't want to use this word, so I'm thinking of
that's understandable.
But I kind of take it like a little manipulation, or I take it as like you're trying to force me to make a decision based off of fear of something else happening, and that I don't like. I don't think you should do anything in love out of fear. You should do it because that's where your heart is. So I personally, that's me personally, that's how I perceive it. But I did not perceive it that way and not let him know. I did communicate like, hey, that may, be cool with you or other people in their conversations, but I don't, like, our conversation should focus on us. And whether we're the most compatible for each other or not, it should not really be focused on anyone else. Or you should not move with me because of someone else. And not interesting, so I was watching this episode of Sanford and Son, and it was, I can't think of the main guy's name, but Sanford, I guess. It was this lady who was dating him, and I guess she was like either going to date him or it was another guy who had proposed to her. Came back to Sanford and was like, this guy proposed to me, like, what are you going to do? Like, make a decision, like, hey, like, are we going to be together or not, because he proposed? And then she came back and she said, if the only reason that I was going to be with him was based on what your decision was, then that means I didn't really love that person. because my decisions to be with someone should not be based on another person and what they do or don't do. Either that's who I love and that's who I want to be with, or it's not. It should be based on another person. So to have conversations with me about a connection with someone else and whether I'm leaving room open or whatnot, it rubbed me personally the wrong way. It may not do for anyone, but for me personally, I didn't like it. But I didn't hold that a secret. I did let it be known. Don't know if that makes sense to most people, but
listen, you can't convince these people. I'm going to be honest with you, you can't. Like, they've made up their mind. It's that simple. Like, I've tried to explain this like 100 times. Like, and can we confirm, I have not had any conversations with you about the show during the process of the show.
No.
We've spoken 2 times. We've spoken on the show, and obviously we asked when you come on the live. That's the only time we've spoken, right?
Yeah. No, it is absolutely.
That's it. And this is everything you said proves exactly what I was saying. I have not spoken to you. I've not spoken to Jason.
I haven't even watched your. I haven't watched much just because it became a lot, especially. It became a lot. So I haven't watched yours. I haven't really watched any reviews about the show. Like after halfway through, I was just like, okay, this is kind of crazy. I didn't know it was going to take this turn. So I just kind of distanced myself and protected my own peace and didn't really haven't watched much of anything.
I hear that. Okay, cool. So obviously we've got to address the list situation. I know you said it on another live, so but I still want to ask that question. Mm-hmm. The list situation, yeah. When she comes back with the information and you begin to laugh, can you just